Hey, what's up, you guys? Today I'm going to be talking about my experience working in fast food. I don't want to say what fast food, but if you know me, I've only had one job, so you'll know. But yeah, I don't want to say who, but it is. I'll give a hint. It's like royalty. That's all I'm gonna say. Well, okay, so I first got my job because I was 17, and I got it because I wanted money and my friend had it, and I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. Like, my friend's working, like, we'll be like, you know, we'll work at the same time, we'll work till this time to this time, we'll be together for this many hours, like, it'll be totally cool. So I started after her because I can drive and I still can't drive, but like whatever. um but anyways, so I started towards the beginning in October of 2017. So it's like the beginning of the school year, but it's not like super, it's not like just at the beginning. And then, so what basically I did for the first day or so was watched videos. I watched like hours and hours and hours of just videos, like teaching me the proper way to clean things, the proper way to store things, proper way to serve things, cook things, all that stuff. And it was like these colors can only go with the bathroom. This color goes with the kitchen. This color goes for the dining area and stuff like that. And I just watched videos upon videos upon videos, and I never really finished them until later because the restaurant, my specific restaurant that I worked at, was so short of staff, like just so often that they needed people to work on multiple things. So it's like they needed a cook and also a drive-through person, or they needed the shift leader, which is like the manager there whenever the head manager isn't there, like the manager there. They needed them to work to be like a cashier when they're not supposed to be doing that. But because we just didn't have enough people, or people would always like quit. People were constantly quitting and joining and quitting and joining, like even the same people. So yeah, so I got in pretty quickly, and then I just learned how to do simple stuff. And I was a cook, so I cooked there, and then I learned how to do like burgers and like simple stuff. And then there should have been two cooks, and a fry person, but there was usually one fry person and one cook, or we would both be making burgers, and then whoever just got finished first would do fries, or sometimes even the cashier would just do the fries, go ahead and do the fries or whatever. So yeah, but yeah, we were so short of staff, so like I did a lot of things. I didn't do cashier, but I did like cook, and sometimes the more experienced person would do like the burger we've had for a short amount of time just because they've learned it more, versus the person that just came in, like they'll learn the basic stuff that they've had forever because everybody knows what goes on those. Um, so yeah, that was basically it. And then eventually, the store gets graded for whoever watches their videos and the scores they get on that. So I finally like finished my videos, and then I was like, but another thing that was stupid about this chain, this fast food chain, they were constantly getting new food. There was constantly a new burger. There's constantly a new chicken thing. There's constantly something new that we had to learn. So we constantly had to keep watching videos, and nobody really like cared to remember their stuff. So we constantly had to keep changing our passwords just to get into it so we can watch it, just one video on how we make something, even though we've already made it like 20 times, and then we watch the video. It was just, it was really annoying. I mean, good for the restaurant for like keeping up with all this stuff and making all these new burgers becoming fresh, because people ordered them a lot, and we have a lot of deals and stuff, or they had a lot of deals and stuff at the time, but they constantly had something new, like two to three things new each month. Like, it was cool, but it was at the same time like people already ordered that, they just add stuff, like if they wanted like a jalapeno burger or whatever, people would say like, let me get like this with with jalapenos on it instead, but it was the same thing with the jalapeno burger or something like that. It was so annoying. Okay. So we constantly had to learn new things and constantly had to, oh, we don't have that anymore. So I was like, oh, we'll throw all the stuff away because we can't mix stuff. And it was just like, oh, it was really annoying. At least just for me, it was. It wasn't like the biggest thing, but it was just annoying. One thing that was good though, they got a sourdough burger, and sourdough burgers are the best. I don't know why they didn't have it sooner. Apparently they served hot dogs at one point because people would come in asking for stuff they served like 2 years ago. It was like hot dogs or something like weird, and it was just extremely weird. And some things people would never order, like ever, like peanut butter jelly. Like we had those, but nobody ever ordered them, which is just like, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of things that were kind of wasted. But at the same time, the restaurant did do a good job at rationing things. Although there was a few times where we would just run out of burgers, or we would run out of like the kids meal burgers, or we would run out of fries, or we would run out of these things, and it was like, what the it was weird. But yeah, so there was nothing super like bad about the company itself. It was more or less the people, which is probably what you'll hear from like everyone who's ever had a job in anything. Because like you can go to like Kansas and have a job or where I worked, and it'll be like the best job ever. You'll probably get paid more or whatever. I got paid the absolute minimum for my state at least, and which is $7.50. And then there were other people who were new and coming, and they would come in and be like, oh, I'm getting paid like 8. Like, yeah, it's just 50 cents more, but if like every hour it like that's another 50 cents. So they were grossing way more than I was. So I was like, why do I need to be here? Just let this person, I don't know, it just really pissed me off a little bit. But anyways, it was just a starter job, so it's not like it was anything serious. I really don't think you should get paid like a ton for working those starter jobs, just because they don't require much skill. Like it really wasn't. It was not hard at all. The only hard part about it was dealing with the people that worked there. Being nice wasn't hard because I was never rude to anyone, because it's to me it's harder to be rude than nice, just for me, just because I can't be rude to someone. But if you really like piss me off, then like I don't know, it can come out easier. But usually people didn't piss me off that much. They were pretty nice. They just complained a lot. So I'll probably get into that. But anything else at the restaurant, I don't really think there's anything else. Just the pay was minimum. You really did not need any type of skill whatsoever to be able to do that. The cashier was a different location. I don't know what the cashiers had to do. But being a cook, absolutely no skill needed. Just wash your hands, make sure you clean everything up. Oh, also, cooks did a lot more work than the cashier, like, for sure. Like, cashiers do cashier things, but the cooks do, like, they wash the dishes, they make sure all the meat is good, they clean the fry station, they drain everything that needs to be drained, and then refill it back up. They prepare the food ahead of time. They prepare for food for the next shift and for the morning shift if you're closing. And they also do cashier jobs. Like they'll clean the dining area versus cashiers where they just do cashier stuff. And like sometimes they'll clean the dining area because that's literally a cashier job. But most times they won't, and a cook will do it. Or that's how it was whenever I was there, at least. And during the day. That wasn't how it was at night. Cashiers usually did it at night, but during the day, like I did it or someone else would do it or something like that. Just because we had too many people in the kitchen or we didn't have anything to do, we were constantly having to do something, which was like, yeah, you could sweep, but there's only so many times you can sweep before it's just you're sweeping air, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cooking, cleaning, remembering, and also you really don't have to remember because there's things that the newest sandwiches get printed out and posted somewhere to where you can see how they're made and stuff. But the older sandwiches, if you don't know, there's like a constant cook thing right there. Also, cooks had to like make sure that like we had to throw certain things out at a certain time, or we had to change the times on things. So if an inspector came in and they saw everything, we had to have it like ready to go and stuff like that. Okay. So that's pretty much the gist of how the restaurant works. I'm going to talk about the people now because that is probably the most interesting part. So, the general manager, everyone there was nice to me, and they were nice to like my friends that work there and stuff like that. It was just some things just weren't up. Just I never have a problem with people really, just because I'm quiet, I don't talk back. I'm just kind of like here. I'm doing my job because that's my job is to do it. I'm not here to like make friends or anything, but I'm just here to do my job. So we'll start with the very top person, which is the general manager, which is like the manager of the entire store. So that person, she was nice. Just whenever people weren't around, she would talk mad crazy just stuff about them like constantly. It doesn't matter if they work there, if they didn't work there, she was constantly talking stuff about them. Usually they didn't work there though. They constantly she would say like, oh, they're lazy, well, you don't know how to do this. She's very playful, and she told you things just straight up, but just I found it a little bit unprofessional that she was just constantly talking mess about so many people that work there and stuff like that. But other than that, I believe she was a good person. Another thing that was kind of annoying is that she did a lot of drugs. And just to me, I don't find that like appealing, but she would constantly talk about it. She would constantly talk about like the different types of drugs that weren't legal, some were. And it was very weird to me how she just was so open about it, but I guess some people have just been there so long that it was just like whatever to them, like second nature. But to me, it was kind of like weird. But she was nice to me, so I don't have a problem with her at all or anything. So we'll go to the managers now. One manager he was actually in the same grade as me, and we graduated together, and we go to college now together. He was very fun to be around because I constantly got to joke around with him, even though he told me to like, I believed he worked me the hardest out of all the managers, but I think it's because he was trying to like actually prove that he could be a good manager, which I respect that for 100%. But he was cool because I joked around with him a lot. He was the same age as me as my friend. We were all in the same grade, and we joked around like inappropriate jokes, but like they were still, I don't know, they were okay for us just because of how close we were in that setting, I guess. So he was cool, but I know y'all might really want to hear about that. So I'll move on to my next manager. He was a grade above me whenever he did go to school with me, and he was nice and stuff. He was just very like, to me, he was fake. Like, he would constantly flirt with these girls, even though he had a girlfriend. He would talk about having their numbers. He would talk about being with this girl and that girl constantly. And I don't know, he just seemed a little off. I didn't really respect that much. He was nice to me and stuff like that, but like, I don't know, I just didn't find that very respectable from someone, especially since I knew his girlfriend because we were in band together, and she seemed pretty nice. I mean, I don't know her like personally or anything, but she was really nice. Another manager, oh my god, this one's probably my favorite to talk about because she was crazy. She wasn't crazy, but just the things that happened to her were crazy. So she was a manager there. These managers are the managers that have like, they're the manager from like 4 a.m. to like 4 p.m. or whatever. So like they're only the manager for that amount of time, and then the next manager comes in, but then there's a general manager who's over it all. Okay, you get it. Anyways, this girl, her boyfriend was a cook. He taught me most things that I knew. I didn't work with him very often, but he did come in with her, and I worked with her a lot. And he would just be in the store because I think they had one car, and I think they lived together, and they were very poor because that was their income, was that job, and that job isn't very, doesn't pay much, so they, anyways. So they were constantly fighting, constantly smoking, constantly happy, and then back to constantly fighting. It was very insane. Sometimes it would even go as far as them yelling. Not even sometimes, like almost like 40% of the time, which is a huge amount of time, but that's close to half. So 40% of the time they were yelling at each other. She was pissed. She would talk about how this guy, oh, he doesn't want to do this anymore. The guy would constantly be quitting and coming back in. He eventually did get fired from what I've heard and is now banned from that store, which he should have been banned a long time ago, in my opinion. But anyways, constantly, she's always saying how he's constantly like dragging her down and he's verbally abusive, which is just crazy to me, and I didn't understand why they were still together. I mean, I guess I kind of can't understand just because of like some personal things, like he was there for her then, so she didn't want to get rid of him, like now, even after all this stuff, so I'm not exactly sure what's going through her mind or anything, but yeah, and aside from all that, they were all also constantly smoking and doing drugs, just there in the back of the store at night. Just I hated it. I hate the smell of smoke and like weed, and they were just doing it, and like you could smell it. It was really annoying. And yeah, so she was constantly like, she was either crying or she was either having a good day, and then he would come in and she would have kind of a good day, and then they would have some kind of fight, and then it would just be terrible for the rest of the 5 hours that I was there. It was very crazy. But when she was happy, she was very happy. She was just like, go ahead, make yourself a burger if you want. Go ahead, get yourself some fries. You don't have to pay for it, whatever. Sometimes she was very strict. I don't know. It just really depended on her mood. And also the other managers, they were very strict. Unless it was like counted as waste, like the person didn't want it, then we could have it. But otherwise, we had to pay for it, you know. So yeah, that's that manager. Very crazy. And she'd also talk about how she did like other drugs, like the types of drugs that you hear about in TV shows that you're like, what the hell? How'd you get that? You know, it was those types of drugs. Very crazy, very insane. I don't even like want to repeat what drugs because it was just so like, I feel illegal just knowing about it, you know. But yeah, those types of drugs. She would tell the craziest stories that were just, I don't know. Anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Okay, we'll go to the workers now. So my friend that worked there, she was the laziest worker I've probably ever met. Well, I've only met one worker so far. She was very extremely lazy. Crazy lazy. But it was fine because it was like funny, and it was like, it's like she realized what kind of job this was, and she was like, it's literally like this kind of job. I get paid $7.50. Like, you really expect me to be up? No. So one funny thing that she did, she would clock in, and then after her break, and she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go sit down. Like, she would say it really quietly so no one could hear, but she's like, I told you I was gonna go sit down. And she would get like a super like oh my god, like what happened? Like, it was so funny. But she was very well liked there just because she gets along well with a lot of people just easily like that, so she was very well liked. Me on the other hand, I'm there to do my job, so it's like I was liked, but I wasn't like overly liked by most people. So it's not like I told her anything. Like, I was just there. So people would just, so like I'll clock in and I'll just kind of sit there. Maybe I'll get my phone if it's late enough and no one's coming through. I'll get my phone, but otherwise I'm just kind of there cleaning, sweeping, you know, just being there. There was one guy, he would constantly smoke. He was so annoying. He's very redneck, and I don't have anything against rednecks or anything, but this guy was disgusting. He constantly did. Redneck literally didn't even have anything to do with it, but anyways, you get an idea of what he looks like. He was a stereotypical type of guy that looked like that. constantly vaping, constantly smoking. His teeth were chipped. It was just like, oh my god, like this guy's really serving food here. It was very just disgusting. Like, I don't know. This to me was very disgusting. He eventually quit, which is like great, you know. Another guy, he was 2 grades below me. He was 16. He just constantly, we became friends eventually, but he just constantly just didn't know how to do anything. So I was like, like the second time we were together, I was just like joking around, like, come on, man, do something. You just gonna let it sit there, you know? And we were just constantly playing these games and stuff like that. And I most of the time wanted to do the dishes because that means I didn't have to listen to them. I didn't have to cook anything. I didn't have to be pressed against time. And then as soon as you were done with the dishes, you could just, everything was just done. You could either go home or you could like cook the rest and then just go home. And just, it was just so great, honestly. But yeah. So that guy, he was cool. He just didn't really, he was very lazy. Again, just like my other friend, but that was fine. There's another guy, he's super good at his job. He was a year above me, just like the other manager. They were actually friends. And he's very good at his job. He was very nice. I really don't have anything at all bad to say about him. I mean, sometimes he talked about other girls and tried to get girls' numbers just like the other guy. But I don't know if it was like as bad. I didn't work with him that often, but I don't know if it was as bad as the manager would. But he was very cool, very nice. He played with me a lot. I liked him. Probably one of my favorite people that worked there, even though I didn't really talk to him that much. But yeah, he's probably one of my favorite people. Okay. So there was this guy that worked there that he was not even a guy, he was a man. I have no clue. He was probably 30, 36. I don't know. He's definitely a meth user. Ugh, just saying that just disgusts me. But he was not like definitely like I'm just assuming like he definitely was, like he told me about it. He told me about his meth dealer. He had anger problems. He would constantly yell at my other friend who was lazy, but she had an attitude a little bit, so it was like kind of understandable. The guy who was like a redneck, him and them, they both got into tiffs over gloves. Like the biggest size gloves, like don't use my biggest size glove. Like it's not yours, first of all, it's nobody's, it's the store's. If you want your own, we buy your own, you know. It was really stupid, but whatever. He constantly yelled at managers. Sometimes he'd be too buddy-buddy with the managers. He would steal food like crazy. Like, I get, like, making yourself a burger or, like, whatever, because it's only $1, and it's not like we don't throw away 12 of them, because people were constantly burning them anyways. But it's not like we don't throw away 12 of them a day. But it's like, this guy would pack, like, 5 into one with, like, 5 different cheeses, and cheeses is extra there at least, and he would just pack it in there and then just wrap it up and save it, and then he would make himself a new one, and he's like, oh, they don't want it. I feel like almost he would purposely make food wrong so he could just take it home or like add to it, because it was just crazy. So this guy, oh my god, it was so terrible. He eventually quit, and then I think he did get rehired, and I don't know if he still works there. Hopefully he doesn't. Last time I went there, it was just a bunch of high school students, and let me tell you, if you go to a restaurant, like a fast food joint, and it's mainly high school students, you'll probably get better results than like older people. That's just because like they want, and it also depends on the high school student a lot of the times, but or like college student. But if they are like, from what I've just seen, the older people do not care. I don't know what it is about their generation and just thinking that they're right, or like I don't care what they think, or I don't care about them. It's just like the younger kids were always cleaning. They were always like, even though if they were lazy, like they understood their job and they understood like the parts of their job that needed to be done, and they were constantly doing it. They were constantly telling the older people what to do, and that's a lot of the older people would just get mad at that. They're like, I'm older than you can't tell me what to do. It's like, well, you're there in a higher position for a reason. it was just ugh. So I do respect kids that work in the service industry a lot more than I respect adults. But sometimes I would feel, just because I am an empath, I think, and I would just feel so bad for these adults because they'd be like, I spend I ration my stuff correctly. I pay my bills. I do the groceries, and then I spend my stuff on drugs. And I was like, what? What? You could be saving that for, like, teeth that you kind of need to eat with, or you could be saving that for a new car, because I've seen that car has half a window gone and the other half of the rear view mirror is just chopped off. You could save it for a better job, for education. Some of the people there was someone who was like 2 to 3 years older than me, which is the manager, that was kind of crazy with her boyfriend. She was probably the only one that I respected out of the older people there, and the general manager. But it was just like, what in the world? These people were just talking about how they did drugs all the time. Oh my god, one time, this adult, this grown man that I just talked about, he's constantly talking about, he asked me for $5 to get him cigarettes. Like, excuse me, I'm 17, and I don't look old for my age whatsoever, and especially not then at all. But he was just like, can I have $5 for cigarettes? Like, what are you talking about? And then anytime he got any kind of money whatsoever, he not only just didn't spend it on the things that he needed, because he needed his car fixed, because he needed people to pick him up every single time and bring him there. He didn't spend it on his classes for school, which he was in. He spent it on just snack foods. And then he brought his Xbox One in and hooked it up to one of the computers that we needed to watch our videos, and just played there and just played some games on there. Tell me why. What part of this job says at all that it is okay to bring your Xbox One in? First of all, you're a grown man. You're a 30 to 36-year-old grown man. What part of this job says that it is okay to do that? Bring it in. Like, I don't understand what your thought process is. Like, oh, today I'm going to go into work and I'm just going to, like, play some video games and get paid. Yeah, that sounds cool to me. Like, what? Obviously, he got in trouble for it, because you're a grown man bringing in an Xbox and a bag full of snack foods. Like, what in the world? It was insane. I don't understand it whatsoever, but it was like, whatever. Okay. There were some other people there that were like, they were pretty much filler people like me. They were there to do their jobs. Sometimes they would talk a bit much, like they were talking about their personal lives, and it was like, I don't really care. But they were nice, so I was nice to them. Yeah, so that's like my work experience at this royalty food chain, if you know what I mean. Again, with this specific royalty food chain, I believe that they have the best food. And like, I still work there. I just really like the burgers, and I like the fries the best than anywhere else. But I don't know, just after seeing that, I was just kind of like disgusted. And then every time I go to a different one, it's just like, it just goes downhill. Like, the food is so great to me. I haven't had them since I worked there. No, I haven't had it in a few months. But before then, I hadn't had it since I worked there, and I stopped working there in May. So, anyways. But yeah, the people that work there in general, I think, are fine. Just my store specifically was just crazy all around. And every time I go to a different one of theirs, it just seems like it's lower quality. Like, the food is fine. It seems so low quality. Like, the wrapping is never done right. I don't know. Maybe they need to do like an undercover boss type thing. I think actually that might be for the better. They do an undercover boss, but like for every single store in America, because I really haven't been to one that's like top notch. Like maybe one or two, but that's it. But yeah, that's my experience working in fast food. If you want to know more about it or like have any questions for me, go ahead and comment down below. If you like me in general, subscribe, and thank you for watching all the way through. If you watched all the way through, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.